$150,000 per month just from Google Ads alone is something I have been fortunate enough to experience across my own e-commerce stores as well as my multiple client e-commerce stores under my agency, Yoru Marketing. But exactly what is the reason why I'm able to scale these stores, I'm able to scale these products, which I personally sell as well, past 6 figures, specifically 150K per month or more, and that too month over month? Simply put, what makes my Google Ads any better than yours, and why do my products sell past the 6-figure level every single month despite product saturation, despite market trends, and so forth? Now, I'm going to be completely honest within this video and show you the exact steps which I take every single time for my own e-commerce stores as well as my client e-commerce stores to kind of replicate these results every single time. And this is one reason why I have come to love Google Ads, because with Google, unlike Facebook, unlike TikTok, unlike even Pinterest for that matter, there is a lot more consistency, there is a lot more predictability, and because of this, I actually feel like I'm building a real business instead of just relying on one winning product after the other. Now, don't get me wrong, Google has its episodes as well where it just absolutely tanks and makes you want to drive on the opposite side of the road during rush hour. But in my overall 5 years of experience running ads online now, I have come to love Google Ads much more than any other advertising platform I have used so far. And if you're not already on Google Ads, don't worry, because by the end of this video, you're gonna know not only how to get on Google Ads, but also how to consistently scale past 6 figures every single month. And if you already are on Google selling, maybe you're in the scaling phase doing really well, the things I'm about to mention as to why my ads are doing better than 99% of Google Ads e-commerce store owners is going to definitely help you take your e-commerce brand to the next level. But before we actually start talking about exactly why my Google Ads campaigns, why my products perform much better than everybody else, we need to know exactly what a Google Ads campaign runs off of and exactly what defines the actual success of a Google Ads campaign. Now, in this case, we're mostly going to be referring to shopping campaigns, but a lot of these things also refer to search campaigns as well. Now, with Google Ads campaigns, if we go ahead and take a look on my screen right here, there are only about 5 different factors which determine the level of success you achieve with your Google Ads campaigns. Number one thing, and you should see it already on my screen, the product image. These are the first things that you see, especially on a Google shopping ad. So obviously these things have a very, very big influence as to how successful you become with Google shopping ads or even Google search ads for that matter. Number 2 thing that is influencing your Google Ads campaigns is the pricing itself. Of course, without proper pricing, you're really not going to sell much with Google Ads. Number 3 thing which affects your Google Ads campaign is the title. Number 4 thing is the description, and the description is not something you can directly see within the shopping listings coming up here, because of course you would actually need to go on the product page or click on the shopping button right over here, and then once the shopping listings load up, if you click on the product, this is where the description really plays the biggest role. And of course, that is exactly why description is kind of the second to last on my list, because in reality, the most important things are the product images, the title, and the price point itself. But the 5th thing which influences your success with your Google Ads campaigns and why I'm able to do 150K or more every single month with my or my clients' accounts is the product itself. That is the 5th thing which determines the level of success you get with your Google Ads campaign. So from these 5 things that I just mentioned to you, it should become very, very clear that the success of your Google Ads campaigns comes down to basically 2 different things. Number 1, the product. Number 2, the product page. So in this video, I want to cover exactly how I'm able to get these 2 things right so that I'm able to scale to $150,000 per month or more every single month throughout the entire year, regardless of what is going on within the year. In fact, whatever was going on within last year, which I can't mention due to the YouTube algorithm, but it is related to that health condition, my business did better than ever before. But of course, you need to plan out these things. These things just don't happen all of a sudden. So in this case, when it comes to my own products and when it comes to my own product pages, let's start off with actually talking about the products, because this is the number one factor which determines what kind of success you get with your Google Ads campaign. This can determine if you do $1,000 per month or if you do $1 million per month. Now, with the products itself, how to find them, etc., etc., I've already made a lot of videos on product research. I'll even link some in the description below, which you can watch after this video. So I'm not really going to go into the product research, but when it comes to the products, the basic criteria which you want to follow in 2022 and onwards, which I'm following, which my e-commerce clients, which I handle ads for under my agency Euro Marketing, are following, are: number one, search volume over 25,000 every single month with a consistent trend. Number two, the profit margin should be a minimum of $30 to $40 in 2022 and onwards. Number three, competitors. You don't want more than 4 to 5 different competitors. Ideally, if you have 0 competitors for that same exact product, specifically dropshippers if you're dropshipping, or if you're a real brand, then still 4 to 5 different competitors selling something very, very close to what you want to sell, the better it is going to be for you. And also the sourcing. Are you able to source this from within the US, or do you have to rely on Chinese suppliers to source the product? Because I'm going to be honest with you, if you try to sell from China in 2022, it's really not ideal for you to get into e-commerce or to start selling with Google Ads, because number one thing you'll struggle the most with is getting your GMC approved, if that is the case. But let's say you are lucky, you get your GMC approved. Number two thing is keeping your customers happy, which in turn is just going to ruin your entire business. It's going to ruin the amount of scale that you can do. You can't really do $150,000 or more per month in sales drop shipping from AliExpress. You ideally want to have a real brand, or you want to be shipping from the US. These are the things which you just must be doing in order to achieve these 6-figure, 7-figure months. But you're not done yet when you have the right product. Finding the right product and making sure it follows all of the criteria which I just mentioned is just part of the equation. The second half of the equation, which enables you to achieve such big numbers per month, is the product page itself. And this is not something you should overlook or skip within this video, because with Facebook ads, your main ad is actually the video ad or the image ad which you display within your Facebook ads campaigns. In this case, with Google ads, especially shopping ads, the main ad which you display to your audience is the product page, and the product page really starts with the image that you have for your product. So in this case, your main selling point is actually the image, followed by the title, followed by the price point, and so forth. So this is why it's so important for you to really focus on having the right kind of product page. But now that we've talked about the product, let's start talking about exactly what differentiates my own product pages, meaning all of these things which I'm mentioning, which determine the success of my shopping ads, compared to the average Joe who is trying to sell on shopping but really struggling to find any kind of success. Let's start off with the title, because I personally believe title is one of the most important things you can do right for your shopping ads. Now, for the sake of this example, we're going to use 3D printer as the sample product which I want to sell, and we're going to be looking at this specific listing right over here, which is number 2 within these ads coming up right over here. So this is the product page that this website has for this product, 3D printer. First things first, what I want you to notice is the title over here and compare this title to the title that they have over here. Clearly, this title is much different than what they have right over here, and this can be achieved through the Shopify app called SimProcess. Now, if you're using WooCommerce or anything else, you might want to do research as to what is the best software you can use to submit your product feed onto Google Merchant Center so you can achieve these kinds of customizations. But what this Shopify store did right over here, and this is a Shopify store just based on how it looks, is they use SimProcess so that they could have one specific title on their product page. But when it comes to shopping ads, when it comes to pleasing the algorithm, when it comes to pleasing the customer who is shopping on shopping ads, they have a much different title. What they did right over here with this title is they did something called search engine optimization. I've made a whole video a couple of years ago which still applies to this day, and if you want me to make a brand new video on SEO, just let me know down in the comments below and I might get onto that. But having proper SEO techniques is really what is going to differentiate you, who is ranking number 2, to somebody who's all the way at the bottom of the shopping listing. So this website did it extremely correct when what they did is they had a one title for the product page to keep it more personalized and more professional for the person visiting the website, and make it so that the customer who is visiting the website is aware that this is a bundle compared to what they did right over here, which is something they did to please the algorithm, because again, the algorithm decides if you should be number 1 or number 2 or number 20 or number 30. So you really want to be making sure that you please the algorithm. And that is what differentiates those stores doing $150,000, $200,000 a month to those that are doing only $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month. But let's say, for example, I was the one trying to sell a 3D printer. Exactly how would I come up with my title? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go onto the keyword planner tool so I can show you step by step my exact strategy as to what I would personally do to come up with a title for this kind of product. So first things first, of course, you want to type in the main keyword which describes your product. And again, my other video goes more in detail into what I'm doing here, and my Google Ads course called the Google Ads Mastery course also goes into detail here. If you want to get it, it's gadsmastery.com. Feel free to get that course if you want, as it is still up for sale. But just typing in the main keyword 3D printer, I'm bombarded with a lot of different keywords, specifically 1,784 keywords, which I can choose from in order to show my ads to the people typing these keywords in. Of course, we don't want to be showing up for 1,784 different keywords because that's just impractical. So here's what we do. We add a few filters in. The first filter is called average monthly searches. We want to make sure that it is greater than or equal to 500. 500 is a decent number, which should let you have a good amount of keywords still coming up. So now we changed it from over 1,700 keywords to just 474, a much more doable keywords list. Next step for you is to come up with a search engine optimized title. And here's exactly how you do that. Usually what I like to do is I like to open a notepad, or you can open anything that you would like in order to really get this done. But what I will generally do is I will generally go ahead and make sure that I'm able to see at least 500 rows of the keywords. And once that's done, I'm going to open up my notepad and I'm going to make sure that I start off with my main keyword as sort of a template to come up with my main title. So in this case, our main keyword was 3D printer. So what we do is we go ahead and write that initial keyword in, because this is the keyword which our entire title will be based off of. Now, our next step is to go one by one through this list and look at those relevant keywords which are basically relevant to what we want to sell. Which means if I was trying to sell, for example, a dog necklace in this case, I don't want to be looking at keywords which say cat necklace in them, because there is no kind of relevancy between the two. Same here. So I'm going to be looking for all keywords which have the words 3D printer in them or are associated with 3D printers in some way, shape, or form. In this case, we want to avoid any kinds of branded keywords. So for example, this word right over here is probably a brand describing a 3D printer brand. So we don't want to be using their keyword at all within our title, because again, we don't want to risk getting sued. So what we do is we just scroll through until we come up with keywords that are, number one, not branded, and number two, have some kind of relevancy. So this one right here, best 3D printer. What I will do is I will take this into consideration because it does have the major keyword which I want my products to have, which is 3D printer right over here. So best 3D printer. But one thing to keep in mind is you don't want to use the word best in your title, because it is sort of like tooting your own horn, and it's really not ideal to do that in the titles for Google Ads. So you just want to stay away from the word best. So don't write something like best dog necklace, best 3D printer, but you can definitely use it within the description. So what you would do, you would come within your notepad and you would just paste it in so that you can use it later for your description. But what you would do is you would just keep on scrolling through and try to come up with different kinds of keywords which describe exactly what you're saying. So we're gonna keep on scrolling through until we find something, and I'll get back to you guys once I find something that is decent. Alright, so I went through the entire keyword list right over here and I came up with a select few different keywords which I personally believe can help me with the creation of my title. Now, you want to be going through the same exact process. Go through keyword after keyword until you come up with a list of about 15 to 20 different keywords, which number one are unbranded, but number two have some kind of relevancy to what you are trying to sell. So in this case, I just came up with a few keywords, not really 15 to 20, but you want to be coming up with 15 to 20, and here's exactly why. Because what we're going to do is we're going to be using these keywords to come up with a search engine optimized title. This is step number one to achieving the same kinds of results I'm able to achieve for my own e-commerce stores as well as my clients' e-commerce stores. But 3D printer. So what we do once we have a list of the different keywords is we start off with the first keyword and we ask ourselves, is there any word or words which I can borrow from this major keyword, which I have right over here, to insert within the title? And you want to be answering this question every single keyword that you go through. So the first keyword on our list is best 3D printer. Obviously, we don't want to use the word best, so the answer to this question is no. If the answer is no, we move on to the next keyword on the list, and you keep on doing this over and over until you get to the very end of your keywords list. And by the end of the list, you should have a 4 to 7 word title created for your product. So we move on to the next one, best 3D printer for beginners. Now, we see best 3D printer, obviously we cannot use anything from here, which we already have not used, but we can use the word for beginners. Now, I don't like to use filler words like for, so in this case, I might just say beginners right in the beginning. So for example, I can change this to beginners 3D printer, and we'll just paste it in right over here, just like that, and there you go. Your title is on the way to being fully search engine optimized. So our title right now is beginners 3D printer, and of course, use words like these if only they make your product title better and more suited for the audience. So if it doesn't really matter who buys your product, so if it's a beginner, intermediate, or expert, then it might be better not to even include the word beginners in your title. But for the sake of this example, we're gonna assume that this 3D printer is only for beginners. So we wrote beginners wireless 3D printer. Now, we're gonna assume that this 3D printer is also wireless. So there you go. Another word which you can include within the title. Our next question now is, where is the right placement of this word so that our title is number 1, optimized for the algorithm, but number 2, optimized for the reader, meaning it's in proper English. So for the sake of this example, we're gonna assume that right at the beginning is the ideal place to place this word. So wireless beginners 3D printer. It sounds good, so that's all that matters, and it is right now on the way to being search engine optimized, which is again pleasing the algorithm, which we want to do. Moving on to the next one, DIY printer. Let's say this is a wireless 3D DIY printer as well, so we're gonna include the word DIY. So wireless beginners DIY 3D printer. And again, you want to play around with where you place the words. It's all gonna depend based on how you have written out your original title. So you might place DIY in the beginning. It's all up to you. Just make sure it makes sense in proper English. We move on to the next word, enclosed 3D printer. Enclosed is a good word because it might be referring to those parts of the audience who want to buy an enclosed 3D printer. And if this printer is indeed enclosed, then this is a good idea. So our next question is, where do we put the word enclosed? So in this case, we might put it somewhere in the middle. So wireless enclosed beginners DIY 3D printer, or wireless beginners enclosed DIY 3D printer. In my opinion, the second sounds better, so we're gonna place enclosed right before DIY, just like that. We move on to the last keyword on the list, high precision. Now this is a good keyword again because if there is good amount of search volume, which of course you want to make sure, and it will be for you if you did the first filter, which was average monthly searches greater than or equal to 500. So in this case, high precision most likely has good search volume. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna decide where to place this. So high precision wireless beginners enclosed DIY 3D printer, or somewhere in the middle. So it's like wireless beginners high precision enclosed DIY 3D printer. Now again, this will be subjective. It depends on where you want to place it, where you think it sounds right. For me, high precision sounds much better in the beginning, so I'm just gonna put it in the beginning, and there you go. There is your fully search engine optimized title. Now again, this was a very basic tutorial as to how I come up with the titles, but what I want you to get from this is the general criteria, the general strategy I'm using for every single title of every single product on my store. This is the same process I go through regardless of if I'm working with a real brand or if I have a dropshipping store which I'm working with. And this is simply because it just works. This is exactly why a brand like this would put one title on their product page, something more optimized for the viewer, and a completely different title on shopping ads listings. So this is the first step of your success of getting those 6-figure months. Start with the title, make sure you have the right title, which brings me to point number 2, which is the image, because without the right image, nobody is going to click on your ad. And the number 1 main factor of success with shopping ads is the image. Now, I want you to take a close look at this image right over here and compare it to the rest of the products right here. Toybox right over here did an absolutely amazing job with not only the title, but with the image as well. And I'll give you a second to look at the image. You can even pause this video right over here and just look at the image to see exactly what they have done differently from the other images. But the number 1 thing that pops up to me is all of these images are on a white background. None of them have any kind of lifestyle background images. None of them have any kind of crazy colors going on in the background. Everything is plain, simple, and white. And here comes Toybox all of a sudden out of nowhere, and they have this image with sort of like a gray background. Now you might think that this is a very, very small thing, but this is enough to push them to the number 2 listings for a very, very competitive product and a very, very competitive keyword, which is 3D printer, and get them to rank consistently despite selling their product at a decent price. The number 1 reason why they're able to rank number 2 and thus get a lot of results from their shopping ads is because of their image. This image, I can almost guarantee you, has a much higher CTR than a plain white background image like this one. And the main reason behind that is this image right here is blending in the crowd with these other images, while this image right here by Toybox is standing out of the crowd. That is all you need to get right in order to have a higher CTR than your competitor. And if you know how Google works, you know that Google ads and shopping ads listings work off of something called the quality score. A quality score has a lot of determining factors, one of them including the CTR. So if you want to pay less for your link clicks, just have a higher CTR, and Toybox does that right here with their image. So to keep things very simple and for you to understand, for the image, make sure you do the opposite of what everybody else is doing. If everybody else is doing a plain white background image, you do a lifestyle image. If everybody else is doing a lifestyle image, you do a plain white background image. And in this case, if you don't even have a real lifestyle image to work with, then you can just put like a gray plain white background, make sure it looks realistic and not just something you did off of Canva, because then that is just unprofessional and you never want to be unprofessional. And also make sure to abide by all of Google Ads policies to ensure that your shopping listing for that product doesn't get disapproved. But that's pretty much all you need to do for the images. Just do what Toybox did right over here, because this is the same strategy I do for my own shopping listings as well as my clients' listings. But once you have the right image, you're on your way to success, but you're not really there yet. You need to get the pricing right. Let's look at Toybox one more time. Now, looking at Toybox, they sell this 3D printer for $300. Of course, with a product like this, you might have different specifications of 3D printers. Some might be just expensive because of the extra features they offer. Others might be more cheaper because of their sizing and all sorts of these different things. But I want you to take 2 things from Toybox right over here. First things first, this product which they are selling looks very, very similar to some of these other ones. Of course, these images are a bit zoomed in, so this might appear a bit bigger, but trust me, the sizes look pretty much the same. But number 2 thing, their product image contains not only the product, but also the bundle that the entire product is coming with. So this product right over here, the 3D printer itself, along with these threads right over here, which you can use within the 3D printer. So this is what really makes Toybox stand out of the crowd, because all of these other products, all they have is the 3D printer. There is no sort of bundle, and if there is a bundle, they're not really doing a good job of showing it in the image itself. So Toybox does an amazing job with that one. Number 2, with the product itself, this 3D printer is the color white, and if you look at all of these 3D printers, majority of the colors here are black. So this might again seem like a very, very minuscule thing, but trust me, it goes very, very far. Some people just prefer one color over the other. I've noticed this time and time again with my own shopping listing. So for example, if so many people here are selling the color black, obviously there's going to be competition on pricing. But if you come in and if you sell a white colored 3D printer and there's only like 1 or 2 other people selling that same exact one, now you can be a little bit more lenient with the pricing. You don't necessarily have to start any price wars. So that's why Toybox here is able to sell this for $300, despite Amazon right next to it being able to sell their 3D printer for $189. And I can almost guarantee you both of these are getting about the same amount of sales, but Toybox is probably getting more in revenue because this is a higher priced item than this one right over here. So that's what you want to keep in mind when it comes to actually to deciding the pricing that you set for your products. And it doesn't matter if you're drop shipping or not, you always want to determine your pricing with Google Ads based on your competitors. If everybody else in your shopping listing competitor list is selling something for $10, there is no possible way you're going to be able to come in and sell something very similar or maybe even the same thing for $5,000. It's just not going to work because competition with Google Ads plays a very, very big role. So that's the next thing you want to be focusing on along with the product image itself, and that's exactly how I'm able to generate over $150,000 combined with my client stores as well as my own stores month over month just because I have the right kinds of pricing. And with pricing, keep things simple. Try to be the middle ground, meaning if you have 4 people selling something for $100 and if you have the next 4 people selling something for $200, you come in and you sell it for $150. There is no need for you to come in and sell it for $90, and there is no need for you to come in and sell it for $250. Just be right in the middle, be sort of like an average person. In real life, average not be good, but in shopping ads, average is great, and you want to be average when it comes to the pricing. But this brings me to the second to last portion of the real success with shopping ads specifically, and this also applies to search ads, by the way, so don't think this is just for shopping. Besides, everything really applies for search, because with the search, even if you don't see the actual image, when somebody clicks on your search ad and when they go to the product page, they will eventually see the image itself. So that's why it influences your overall conversion rates, and that's why you need to make sure you follow all of these techniques. But the next thing is, of course, the description. Now, with descriptions, I'm not gonna go too in detail with this video for descriptions because I've already made a lot of videos on that, and I've gone in depth in my Google Ads Mastery course for descriptions. But what you want to keep in mind is your description in 2022 should not only contain words, but it should also contain images, and it should also contain a video if applicable. And I highly recommend you try to put a video in your description. But your description should be laid out very professionally, should be characterized. As you can see, Toybox here doesn't really have too big of a description, but that doesn't stop them from ranking number 2. For the description, as long as you make sure your major keywords are within and you try to repeat them at least through 2 to 3 times, you're going to be well off with your shopping listing. And of course, I do recommend you put in a little bit of extra effort into the description, not make it fully like this. Again, I've made other videos on descriptions which you can watch, but these 3 things you definitely want to have in mind, and that is having enough words along with images to describe your product, along with a simple generic video. These 3 things are a must basically in 2022 and onwards to be doing $150,000 or more every single month in sales. But the final thing which I was referring to, which you absolutely need, are the reviews. Now, let's face it, in 2022 and onwards, even with you personally, what do you do when you go online to buy something? You scroll all the way down and you look at the reviews. Even if there's only 1 review or 2 review, that places a big role on whether you purchase that product or not. So in 2022, you want to apply the same technique for your product. Have a minimum of 10 to 20 reviews, and of course the more you have the better, but make sure your reviews are random. So make sure not every single product has exactly 10 reviews. Maybe one product have 10 reviews, the next product have 13 reviews, the next one 17, and so forth. Keep things random, but make sure you have some reviews. And another important thing, make sure you have a mix of good and bad reviews. Don't be like that average dropshipper who just has all 5-star reviews, because in 2022 and onwards, that's not gonna cut it. You're dealing with some very, very smart customers in this time period, and everybody knows what the reviews are, how they are, if they're all 5 stars, and so forth. So you wanna keep things a full-on mix and have a bunch of different reviews with the different numbers of reviews per product. But that is pretty much the basics of how I am able to achieve these kinds of 6-figure months consistently, time and time again, without really having to do anything extra. Like you learned from this video, I'm not any extra special from you. I don't have any special powers, or I'm not really that smarter than you. All I'm doing is just looking at these small basic things, and I'm trying to understand what determines the success of my Google shopping listings, or my Google search listings for that matter, and I'm trying to reverse engineer. So with this example, shopping listings, my success comes from these 5 things which I mentioned. Then I want to make sure that I'm putting a little bit of extra effort on making sure all of these 5 things are done correctly in order to achieve the best kinds of results possible with my shopping listings. And of course, these 5 things don't just apply for shopping. The same thing goes for search ads as well. With search, you do need to do a little bit of extra copywriting, and I've made a whole video on how to do search ads properly, which you can watch. A link will be in the description below, as well as in the top right above my head. But if you are running your own e-commerce store and you're doing about $30,000 or more per month in sales as of right now on average, and you're just looking to get some extra help, looking to scale further with Google Ads, I do run Google Ads for my e-commerce clients, and I can do the same for you. Just go onto my website at yoromarketing.com. In the top right, just click that blue button so that you can schedule a free strategy call directly to speak with me to see if I can personally help you take your e-commerce store to the next level. And of course, there's no obligations with this call. You still get the free strategy report at the end of the call, which I make personally for your store. But if you found found any type of value in this video, just destroy that like button down below. It takes 2 seconds, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.